24 years here at THV11. It's so easy to remember when I started. January 1st, the year 2000, when Arkansas played Texas in the Cotton Bowl, and it ends on January 1st, 2024. So easy to keep track, isn't it? But along the way, what is not easy to keep track is all the events, all the moments that I treasure made possible by the wonderful staff at THV11. Granted, the names and the faces and the people came and went, some since day one, but most came and went. But nonetheless, the bottom line was we've produced content that, quite frankly, I'm proud of. It may not have won awards. It may not be one of these events online that produces millions of followers, but it's one of those things that when you presented it on the air, you smiled and you liked what you did. And you liked collaborating with the people who had given you input and putting it all out there. That's why I'm loving Craig O'Neill Rewind, with the understanding that what you're getting is just a small portion, the tip of the gigantic iceberg that was 24 years at THV11. Here's hoping it doesn't cause a Titanic. Glad you could join us for Craig O'Neill Rewind. I'll tell you, back in the year 2000, when I was hired to do sports, our management wanted something different, something besides statistics and that usual sports talk. They wanted something more fun, more creative. So what we came up with was Craig's World. And this was a different treatment of sports of sorts, in which we would take one aspect of sports and blow it out of proportion. But bottom line, have fun with it. So what you got was a series of very unusual stories and treatments of the sports world that I'd like to think had never been seen before in the Little Rock market. And having grown up here and watched it for years, I was an expert on what the history of television was in Little Rock, and that's why I'm kind of proud of what we presented on Craig's World.
Say hello, hallelujah. Sister Sally.
It's 30 minutes before kickoff, and we're at the home of Sally Graves in West Little Rock.
Hey, sir! Razorback,
Give it to the fullback. There's a fumble picked up by Arkansas. Razorback inside the 40-yard line.
Our work here is done. On to North Little Rock. Go hard. Come on, baby, it's party time. Say hallelujah, brothers and sisters.
We've had a tough week, and we just need to show a little love and spirit and get our friends together and watch the Hogs and root them on to victory here.
Backs in the eye. Sasha Lancaster into fullback, and Tally gets into the secondary.
It's an Arkansas Razorback.
Gets hold of it.
Yeah!
Pickup. There's a fumble, and it is picked up.
Come on, Craig, we're doing fine till you got here.
Two great parties. And for the third one, just a guy watching alone.
I'm just a guy that likes to watch the Razorbacks by myself.
Holmes, the deep back, gets the handoff, cuts up.
All right!
Inside the 10 for first and goal. Brandon Holmes hit.
It is time to show spirit, brother. Say hallelujah.
That's power. That's all that is.
Out of the way, please.
Millen's wide open. Touchdown, Alabama.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Man. Boy, the guy who said misery loves company never met Marvin.
Clark.
By 5:30, the Hallelujah Trail had turned into the Trail of Tears. But no matter. The Razorbacks had once again brought people together. The 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Arkansas!
I tell you what, Craig, just a superb play by Razorback special teams. Cobb just took that ball, broke a few tackles, and it was just off to the races after that. I tell you what.
Jenkins to the 30, the 20, down to the 15, and he's brought down from behind. Some kind of play, Jeff.
Yep. What is color commentary?
Claire, this won't hurt. Just watch.
You know I know nothing about football.
That's perfect. Jenkins scores! Touchdown, Arkansas. What a play that was.
He was wearing red.
Into the end zone. Touchdown! I say that.
You're good then. All right.
You're the color commentator.
Okay.
I do the play-by-play.
Got you.
Boo Williams over the top for that touchdown.
That was great.
Touchdown, Arkansas!
What a pass.
How did it happen? Why?
Well, I think it was the way Clint Sterner tossed him that football between his legs. Then went for that really long pass, and was that number 84?
Yes, it
You
was,
think
Robin.
I'll get the job?
No, I don't, Robin. There's a handoff to Chakuma. Chakuma finds a hole up the middle. Touchdown, Arkansas.
Yay!
In 1987, we started the decoy program. It's to cut down on poaching, of course, but the main thing is people that deer hunt out of season and deer hunt at night.
I'm going to get me a deer.
We've really slowed it down. The people know that we're going to be out there, and they know we're going to be working the decoys and wondering, always that wondering if that's a decoy or is it a real deer.
Where is it? Where is it? There's got to be one right here somewhere.
Oh, look what we've got right here. He doesn't even see us.
Nothing happened. What's up?
What kind of yahoo is this out here?
What the? Oh my gosh, here. Watch this.
What are you shooting at?
Ross, we've had a lot of fun play acting today, but there's a serious side to this, obviously. Does this type of program really have an impact?
It really does. It just affords the poacher the chance to hunt out a season or shoot off the road, whatever they're doing, and save the wildlife. That's what the whole
It's all
idea
about
is.
saving the wildlife.
Right.
And you're giving them a choice, making sure they make the right
Nobody makes them shoot it illegal. They have the choice.
choice. Thank you very much. One last short. Take these off and we'll go.
We're really going to jail.
Yeah, right. Okay, he's kidding.
It's a free ride.
Free ride. Yeah, you're kidding. I know you're kidding. Come on, batter, 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 hey, batter, 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 swing! If you played Little League or Teeny League baseball, that's what you did. It's called chatter while you were out in the field as a kid. And when I did sports and first started in sports at THV11, I thought, you don't hear major league or minor league professional baseball players doing chatter. Somewhere along the line, they lose that art, that ability. Because I know as kids, they started out doing it, Come on, batter, hey, batter, 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 swing. Invariably, the batter would swing and miss, but still, it was chatter, it was fun, it was a part of baseball. So to make sure that these professional players could regain that sense of being a kid again, on Craig's World, back in the early 2000s, we decided to let the kids become the teachers of the travelers. Here you go. Junior Deputy Field. The J.D. Pitching Machine All-Stars are playing, learning the basics of baseball. There's one talent they have that the travelers need to rediscover. Chatter. Chatter. Kids like John Chapman have one goal in mind here.
To mess the batter up.
The All-Stars had style. They had that good, natural, rhythmical cadence. On behalf of the travelers, we asked if they could conduct a seminar.
Okay, guys, this is how you do. Cole, Jacob, show me. Hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, swing!
Hey, brother, hey, swing!
Sorry, guys, you need to do it longer. Hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, hey, brother, swing!
Swing!
After just a few minutes of intensive training, the Travs had it down.
Swing!
Very nice. Good.
The Travs were triumphant.
Just takes you back to when you were younger, when you enjoyed baseball. And
Thanks, guys. See you guys.
Their job done. John, Jacob, and Cole moved on. back to their own careers, feeling good that they'd helped a pro in his journey to the majors.
The year was 2000. I was doing sports here at THV11. The Razorbacks that year, the football team was not that good. They went to a thing called the Las Vegas Bowl where they got beat, but it was a yawner. But still, I didn't want that spirit to lag. So when the holiday season rolled around, I was feeling that spirit, even though the team had not been that good. And I got a bunch of friends and family together and coworkers, and we did this.
Buddy, it's carolers.
Sports is fun again with Craig O'Neill on today's THV.
The year was 2005. I was doing sports, and our boss, Larry Audis, said, you know, we've got it in the budget that you and Liz Massey can go out to Hollywood, and Craig, you can cover the Razorbacks, and we'll let you go interview Ellen DeGeneres. So that meant we got to go and watch the Ellen DeGeneres show. Her show had just started on THV11. It was syndicated, and they were allowing us to come interview her. Well, what you don't know about her show is that under every chair, there is a speaker, and they are thumping that dance music all the time throughout the entire taping of that show. And I was dancing, I was doing my 70s and 80s disco moves, and the next thing I know, an associate producer for the show comes up and taps me on the shoulder and says, come here. They walk me down to the front of the audience, they're rolling, they start playing that music loud, and then I start doing this.
Thank you again very much. There is one thing about Arkansas I would like to teach you, and I would like to teach everyone in the audience.
Okay.
It is called the hog call. Do you mind if we stand up? Can we stand up together?
Not
here?
at all.
And can we have everybody in the audience please stand? I'm going to teach you all the hog call. Hig, suey. One more. Hig, suey. Razorbacks, yeah!
All right, now, I'm a good sport, I am, and but I tell you, I should have known. If I usually, you know, the audience dances before the show starts. You're out here dancing. I watch you from my dressing room as much as I can, but if something happens, I turn my back for a second, I miss some things. And if I had seen him doing this, I would have known what to expect. This is him before the show.
Is to become a monk and leave the situation, but every dark tunnel has a light of hope, so don't hang yourself with a celibate rope. New movie showing, so you're going. Could care less about the vibe you're blowing. Theater gets dark just to start the show, then you spot a fine woman sitting in your row. She's dressed in yellow, she says hello, come sit next to me, you fine fellow. You run over there without a second to lose, and what comes next? Hey, bust the move.
He actually shut the window on himself. All right, I hope you're happy with that, Craig, because now it's out there forever, and that's the risk you take when you're on TV.
I'm often asked, Craig, well, I'm not often asked, but I have been asked, Craig, what's the single greatest football highlight that you ever showed on THV11? That's easy. 2007, Fayetteville. Arkansas versus the University of South Carolina. Darren McFadden, our all-star, all-American runner, he actually entered the hunt for the Heisman Trophy because of his performance in the game against South Carolina that night in Fayetteville. And one of his most stirring moments was a run that began on about our 25-yard line, down the field, right to the THV11 camera, almost as if he was running for THV viewers. That was his goal, is to score a touchdown for those of us watching Channel 11. This is the way it looked. Here on Craig O'Neill Rewind, we have an interesting story that we put together because someone asked a question in the newsroom. What does it take to make us happy? How are we happy in this United States of America? What's involved in making us happy? So we took a look, and this is what we found out.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
The preschoolers at First Christian could care less about Arkansas's low happiness rating. They just want to dance, move, and twirl. Or the bowlers at an event for Big Brothers Big Sisters. No pity party here.
I think we're the happiest people in the United States.
I think we live in a great state, great people doing wonderful things.
Happiness is a very subjective construct, and everybody defines happiness on a very individual basis. So it's hard to define for the whole population.
Dr. Eric Macias is a clinical psychiatrist and instructor at the Walker Family Clinic at UAMS. His studies and the recent surge of happiness research have led him to several emphatic conclusions.
Social engagement. People need to realize that social engagement is very important and key.
And this is where researchers drop the ball. Arkansas affords its citizens thousands of ways for us to get together. From churches to civic clubs, fundraisers, festivals, sports. It's endless.
I'm just happy to be alive, to be at this bowl-a-thon, just to be a part of our annual Bowl for Kids Day.
Behavioral economists have determined that as people earn more money, their level of day-to-day happiness improves until they hit $75,000 a year. And after that, they've determined there is no measurable gain in happiness. $75,000 is the magic paycheck. Trouble is, Arkansans have an average salary of $38,000 a year.
Happiness does not have to do with this being a high income or low income state. Happiness has to do with the fact that you are happy where you are, you feel part of a community, and you want to contribute to make it better.
I got family, I got friends, I got a job.
I'm very happy. Today's been a good day.
It also depends on when you're asked how happy you are. Take Olive, for instance. Not too happy about music class or the dancing and the singing. But during story time, she was loving it.
Over the 24 years here at THV11, there have been so many influences, locally and nationally. One of those, Opie, Ron Howard, who, as we all know, has grown up to be an award-winning director. Well, as a project, he put out a challenge nationally for photographers to come up with a picture that would inspire a short video or movie that would be produced by Ron Howard and his production company. Kelly Shipp, a local photographer from Conway, took a picture of this tree outside Bigelow. A very dramatic picture, stunning actually, and that inspired Ron Howard and his people. And Kelly Shipp was a winner, and Ron Howard produced the video, and we told the story.
Kelly Shipp travels the back roads out of Conway. A professional photographer, he goes looking for photo ops. Just outside of Bigelow, he found one, the perfect shot.
So I stopped to photograph, this field full of colors, and this tree is right here in the center of it.
It was a picture he'd taken before, but he wanted to try something different.
And when I got back around, I looked at the tree and I thought, this would be really cool in infrared.
He waited for the perfect night when he could get the moon coming up as the sun was going down. And on that night, he found the perfect spot in front of his perfect tree. This is it.
This is it.
And what was the name that you gave the picture?
Where one day ends, a new day begins.
With a budding tree in spring surrounded by daffodils, you're thinking a picture of greens and yellows. But Kelly's infrared camera and fisheye lens produced this. I know that looks like winter, but that's actually reflected spring sunlight that the infrared camera records. When Kelly's sister insisted he enter the Canon Camera Imagination Contest, this is the picture he chose. The judge was Ron Howard. Happy Days, Opie, award-winning director, that Ron Howard. From 90,000 photo entries from across the country, he had to choose 8 winners. One of them was Kelly Shipp.
I want to congratulate Kelly Shipp. It's an incredibly vivid, creative, mysterious idea. I know that it's going to give the film some mystery, some magic, and provide a very unusual jumping off place for what I know will be a turning point in this story.
You notice he said film, because the 8 winners were the starting point for a short movie directed by Ron's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard. It was shot over the summer. In Conway, back in November, Kelly was picked up by a limo. He was flown to New York City, put up for 2 nights and 3 days, and at the special premiere, he walked the red carpet.
And they had this at the American Museum of Natural History. The first thing we do is we walk into this big media room where there's cameras and film crew and all that. We do the whole red carpet interviews. And
then the ultimate, the reason Kelly entered the contest. He got to meet Ron Howard.
We just talked about the process and what he thought about the film and what he thought about Bryce's effort.
Kelly and the 7 other winners were special guests at the debut of the short film entitled When You Find Me. The movie opens with the Hollywood version of The Bigelow Tree and tells the powerful story of 2 sisters reunited.
I recommend women to bring Kleenex with them to see the film because it's a very emotional film.
Kelly's tree is the main image on the movie poster. And there, in the middle of the museum in Manhattan, attended by hundreds of VIPs and celebrities, a sculpture of the tree, Kelly's tree, Bigelow's tree, a testimony to what may well be Arkansas's #1 natural resource, inspiration. I got to take you back to 2006, and I was asked to come read to children in pre-K, as well as children in Des Arc Elementary School, this is all in Des Arc, as a part of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. I was vaguely aware of that effort, but not really caught up in it. But I did it in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, go with me, and beyond. And I watched over the next 16 years the Dolly Parton Imagination Library grow in Arkansas. Des Arc was one of the leading communities. By now, though, it's in every county in the state. Over 60,000 books are mailed to children birth to kindergarten every month. That's how strong it's gotten. And I will tell you, beginning with that first phone call from Marianne Williams, I have been along every step of the way. And that's why I got to do this. She first got her picture made with affiliates from around the state. Dolly Parton making good on a promise that if there was an Imagination Library operation in every county, she'd come to Arkansas and meet and entertain them all. And to think, 10 years ago, only 12 counties were mailing books to kids. Arkansas has grown quickly, which is why Parton's conversation was peppered with encouragement.
When you see that you got a good thing going, you just work harder at it. It's something that everybody can take great pride in because it's for the children.
Children from birth to age 5 getting a book a month in the mail, the process behind a library that's personal.
I'm from a family of 12 children. Mom and Daddy had 12, 6 boys and 6 girls. So I know how important little things are to children and how you do teach them in their very early years.
But here in part 2 of Dolly Night at the Mansion, no, it wasn't all about the library. There were stories, like the night at a concert in Arkansas. She saw a hog hat backstage and was tempted to put it on for a duet with Kenny Rogers.
And I thought, ooh, I hate to mess up my hair, but there's no way I'm going to miss this chance.
She gave in to temptation.
I came out on the stage, the spotlight hit me, and there I am in my dress and my big old pig suey, and everybody was saying, pig suey.
But a conversation with Dolly Parton cannot linger on the past, as I quickly discovered. Now, what's coming up? What is coming? What's in the future for you? What projects can we look forward to that, hey, maybe we'll get an inside info on?
You might. I may do a rock and roll album. Well, I guess you've seen all that controversy about the rock and roll. But anyway, at some point I might. But what I'm doing right now, I'm working on a Christmas movie, or Christmas musical special, and still working on working on publicity for the Run, Rose, Run, a book that I wrote with James Patterson. But we're doing a movie of it, and I'm working with Reese Witherspoon's company.
This is so weird. I interviewed Bill Clinton last night. He's written a book with James Patterson.
Yeah,
now you've written a book with James Patterson.
Yeah, but mine's better.
Funny, vivacious still. At 76 years old, Dolly Parton is nonstop.
Lord knows I'm up to my butt in anything and everything. I'm always working. I always say I've dreamed myself into a corner, and I have to be responsible for all those dreams that have come true thanks to you.
And try to be the first to touch the sky.
And she ended the night with her music. Music that won't stop anytime soon.
And if they say that...
This next one is an interview I had with a woman who, after we interviewed her, within a month, she was a star on Good Morning America. The world found out about her. Now, she really made her own life. It wasn't us. Her name, Ray Montague. She was a black woman who wanted to go and study engineering at the University of Arkansas, but because in the early 50s, she was black, she was female, she was not allowed. But what she did showed the world that she could overcome. And she was an Arkansas hidden figure who did this.
It's almost like my story.
Hers begins with a submarine, smaller than the one you see in North Little Rock. Ray's was German, captured off the Carolina coast early in World War II, and put on tour across the country, and when it came to Little Rock, Ray was only 7 and was taken to see it by her grandfather.
And I looked through the periscope, and I saw all the dials and mechanisms, and I said to the guy who was giving a spiel, "What do you have to know to do this?" He said, "Oh, you'd have to be an engineer, but you don't have to worry about that."
Sure, that was an insult, but the man at the submarine didn't know Ray had a strong mother.
And she said, "Ray, you'll have 3 strikes against you. You're female," and at that time the terminology for us was Negro, "but you're black, and you'll have a Southern segregated school education. But you can do or be anything you want, provided you're educated."
Growing up, she got ridiculed when she said she wanted to be an engineer.
Well, my classmates all laughed at me because they thought I wanted to drive a train.
But those kids didn't know of the 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Irma Holliday, who would become a mentor.
And she called me aside and she said, "Ray, don't let them tease you. Aim for the stars. At the very worst, you'll land on the moon."
Ray wanted to enter the engineering school at the U of A, but they wouldn't allow minority enrollment. But they didn't know that Ray would parlay an Arkansas AM&N education into a job with the Navy in Washington.
I started at the bottom of the ladder, even with a college degree.
She worked right next to a 1956 UNIVAC computer and would watch Ivy League graduate engineers run it.
And you can't stand there and let me watch you do something and think I'm not going to figure out what you're doing.
On a day when all the engineers got sick, Ray jumped up and ran that big UNIVAC all by herself.
Because, you see, we weren't supposed to touch that computer, right? And because I was from Arkansas.
But they didn't know that over the next 14 years, Ray would become so competent with computers, she'd be transferred in 1970 to ship design and construction, where she faced down a racist boss and was then given a challenge that would change her life.
The admirals came to me and said, "Young lady, we understand you've got a system to design ships." And I said, "Yes." They said, "The president has given us 2 months. We can give you a month. Can you do it?"
Could she do it?
I brought that rascal in 18 hours and 26 minutes.
This was the ship. Oh, there'd be many more.
They said I had revolutionized the design process for all naval ships and submarines. And after that, my career just took off.
Award after award from the Navy and federal government. In her honor, a flag was flown over the nation's capital. She was given that flag and has it framed.
Can you imagine? In my honor.
And the girl denied by the U of A even found herself in a place she'd never dreamed she'd be.
I was lecturing at the Naval Academy. I was the authority for the Navy.
Ray Montague reached for the stars, and it looks like she made it.
Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? And just think how fortunate I was.
Back in 2017 BC, before COVID, my wife and I took a trip to Crystal Bridges Museum. And they had this incredible display of this artist who had gone every 22 miles across the country, and she would stop and paint a small painting of the view that she saw. And she would do that every 22 miles. She had hundreds of paintings on this display. And I was so inspired. I kept thinking about it when we were driving home. I'm thinking, you know, what if we did that on television? What if we went from one side of the state to the other, and every 11 miles we stopped and we took a picture of whatever we saw and put it all together as almost a portrait of Arkansas? And our group here at THV11 let us do it, and this is what we got. Every 11 miles, it's quite a portrait. Observe.
You really don't need a sign to tell you, you know, even if you've been here for a small time. The green and the gate sheltering unseen livestock will say enough, as will the barn under the wires, agriculture no longer isolated from technology. Vigilant dogs under a shade tree can bark it to you. This is Arkansas, where pride can come from the simplest acts, like saving the box turtle, and Jesus is consistently brought to your attention on a sign, or maybe a road in a heavenly forest, well-traveled, rutted, natural, and necessary. And the people who are conscious of boundaries will all tell you, this is Arkansas. Rural is not backward. It contains its own sophistication, and the colors in a small valley make it impossible to take fields for granted. The prominent reminders of hard work, emergency response on tap in isolated suburbs say it. This is Arkansas. Late in the afternoon, people gather in places, humble on the outside, but America reflected on the inside. All who enter are family, south of the city and northeast of the city, where veterans gather to straighten out the world, the voices of men and women who have traveled to meet trouble, but return to a state of abundance and sharing. The mountains of the west that give way to the fields in the east, and the flatness with its own particular form of beauty say it. This is Arkansas. The man-made monuments that say hello, or just up the road that say goodbye, or over a bridge that fill a space that begs for personality and color. Back ends of businesses eking out their own version of the American dream. It is there between the boards and the fence, or down that dusty road that leads to a bumper crop of hope, which means when you finally cross the river, you may leave Arkansas, but it never leaves you.